Nope. Oh, hey everyone, Gaijin Goomba here. Sorry about all this. You know, I did an entire video talking about pirate culture and how well it was portrayed in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And so, I figured I'd try covering ninjas next. But holy crap! By definition of the term, I'm having a terrible time finding an example of a good ninja in video games. What's the definition of the term? Ninjas were nothing. Their footsteps were never heard, their shadows never seen, their voice never spoken. They embraced the nothingness of the world and carried out their missions of espionage and assassinations, never stepping out of the void. Popular culture has turned them into one-man Rambo killing machines who merely murder everything and everyone without consequence, and half the time with barely any subtlety. As someone who not only loves ninjas, but spent a long time studying their ways, this is just flat out wrong. Almost to the point of being insulting.
Oh, well, what makes you some sort of authority on ninjas, you squeaky
As I mentioned in the last episode, I lived a few hours away from the very birthplace of ninjutsu, Iga, in Mie Prefecture. While I was working abroad, I spent a lot of time there in the home of ninjutsu, learning everything I could about what it really was about. I visited ancient homes of the ninja, learning how they utilized their environments for escapes and trickery. I observed ninja techniques live that were passed down through the ages. I actually held and used some of the Iga-ryu clan's tools and clothing. I saw firsthand the tools and weapons ninja would use, and I learned many, many tricks that the Iga-ryu ninjas would use to throw off their enemies. For example, I bet you didn't know that ninjas had their own clock. Yeah, using the dilation of cat's eyes, they would establish set periods of time depending on how dilated a cat's eyes would be in light. Ninjas also had a unique form of written communication based on Chinese characters as encryption for messages. There are lots of other things, such as ninjas sleeping on their left to protect their heart, using the environment to predict the future, and even ninja chainmail. Yeah, that's an actual thing. So let me define from a primary source what a ninja is and what they do. First of all, ninjutsu isn't even a martial art. Yes, you heard me right. It is not a martial art by definition. It is the art of non-existence, and the preservation of non-existence. Heck, the kanji of ninja literally means preserving stealth person. They were always out of sight, always hid, and never fought anything or anyone head-on. They did, of course, assassinate, but that was only done on their favorite occasions. If they were caught, they used one of 5 different methods of escape. Fire, using explosives and fire to confuse the enemy. Water, hiding in bodies of water. Smoke, such as your garden variety smokescreen bomb. Metal, using shuriken, caltrops, and other tools to make their escape. And stealth, which is self-explanatory. A ninja who stayed behind to fight was a dead ninja. Even if they surrendered themselves instead of falling in battle, the only thing that awaited a ninja was a public execution. The absolute worst way to die in ancient Japan. That's what made ninjas so badass. Samurai gave their lives for their masters, but ninja gave their honor. In fact, one of the best examples of a true ninja that I can think of is the ninja of public celebrity status himself, Ninja Brian of Ninja Sex Party. Though I think he might be semi-retired in order to make his rocking soundtracks with Danny Sexbang, it's clear that old habits die hard. Ninja Brian never speaks, always covers his face, and habitually assassinates eyewitnesses who may have seen him to protect his identity. In all seriousness, that's probably what a ninja would do if caught in the public's eye. We recently had a representative of the game Theorists dispatched to Ninja Brian's current known location to try to get the scoop about what it meant to be a true ninja.
So Mr. Ninja... Brian, was it? Can you tell me, in your own words, what is the most important aspect of being a ninja?
Speaking of assassinations and escapes, ninjas did not shy away from using anything and everything at their disposal. They were very much acquainted with firearms, poisons, pyrotechnics, experimental alchemy, and a plethora of exotic weaponry, and experimented with any and all method of silent travel. One such contraption was the Mizugumo, special wide-surface feet peripherals that allowed the ninjas to walk on thin mud and even water. Speaking from experience with them, not an easy task. Ninjas were also vegetarians. Bet you didn't know that one either. Ninjas would stay away from meats in favor of vegetables and grains. Ninjas were so protective of their stealth that they would avoid foods that produced excess body odor. Ninjas also never wore jet black. The reason for this is because the outline of a solid black ninja could easily be seen in the light of the moon. Instead, they favored dark navy blue and subtle patterns to keep them hidden in the moonlight. Ninjas were also very thin, small people. They couldn't weigh more than 60 kilograms or about 130 pounds. Since they spent so much time on roofs, upside down, and climbing, ninjas needed to be small in both stature as well as weight to prevent excess sound while moving, being able to fit in tight quarters, and being able to lift their own weight as if it was nothing. Now, with all that in mind, let's have a look at some of gaming's biggest name ninjas, and perhaps you can understand my conundrum. Let's start with Yuffie. How in the world is this gal a ninja? Always showing her face, divulges the location of her clan's home, even brings a group of outsiders there. I get the fact that she's flexible and throws a giant shuriken around, but this does not make one a ninja. Mai Shiranui. No. Just no. No to all. Ayane? Unless every single one of her adversaries never break eye contact from her chest, she's not doing herself any favors, not concealing her identity. And while we're on the topic of giant-titted ninja, Taki isn't any better. Can she move like a ninja? Sure, but again, a ninja who shows her face is not a ninja. And let's talk about these for a minute here. It's plainly obvious that Taki has no bust support considering her nips look like they could cut through diamond, so it's safe to say that nothing is supporting them. How in the world could she hang upside down and not get KO'd by her own tits? Ibuki from Street Fighter? Yeah, I'm sure introducing yourself by name makes for a good ninja. I believe she understands the physical art of ninjutsu, but it seems to me that we have a problem with self-proclaimed ninjas. It's a paradox in its own right. How about Hiryu Strider? He has an unknown origin which keeps his identity a secret, hides his face, well, he possibly could be identified by his hair, but I suppose that's okay, and he uses an exotic weapon. Cool, let's see what it is. Okay, the cipher, wait. The weapon makes use of plasma energy, releasing it from an opening located at the tip of the edge in order to greatly enhance its cutting power. Because of the speed at which the blade travels, it gives off a high-pitched sound whenever it's swung. Oh yeah, this is a great weapon for the stealthy ninja to use! I guess it's kind of irrelevant when he's spending 90% of the time massacring enemies left and right, in the open, everyone knowing where he is. Okay, how about Joe Musashi from the classic title Shinobi? In a game that uses the original name of the ninja, surely this must get it right. What is that? You're telling me that the protagonist master of ninjutsu fights his enemies in the open without any mask? Wait, okay. In later games, he's in a more traditional ninja outfit in solid white, contrasting every background he's in. Okay, moving on. Rikimaru from the Tenshu series? Well, probably the closest candidate for a good ninja in a video game so far, but again, we have another ninja who only covers his face, and Rikimaru has very identifiable hair and scars that are not covered up. Not to mention, Rikimaru just kills and kills and kills. What does he do with the bodies once he's assassinated them? Nothing! Again, ninjas killed as an absolute last resort because blood, let alone a dead body, would set an alarm amongst the ranks of the enemy and your job just got a dozen times harder with everyone looking for you. Come on, gaming. Give me just one good ninja. Just one good ninja? Okay. Here we go. Ryu Hayabusa, gaming's most iconic ninja. Surely he can fit the bill, right? But no. Even Ryu freaking Hayabusa! Look, there he is, running around in the open, killing masses of people in the open, wearing the legendary, meaning well-known, Black Falcon Shinobi Shozoko. You see, he's so well-known that the Japan Self-Defense Force gets him to fight the Regent of the Mask, who personally wanted him to come fight him. You know what else? He worked for the CIA, went to their headquarters, their heavily surveillanced headquarters. You know what? I give up. I quit. I can't find a single freaking ninja in gaming worthy of the title. Ah! Wait. The heck is this? I don't know this guy. Wait. I don't know this guy. That's it! I don't believe it. A ninja. A real ninja in video games. Everything about him. Just nailed it. The main character never told his name, hiding his identity to even the player. The sounds that you make in-game can manipulate enemy behavior, using it to your advantage to stealth around or accidentally making a noise ending up in your death. Manipulating the light sources in the game can conceal you and change your enemy's behavior. Your tools aren't used for combat, but rather keep you hidden. You get massive bonuses for not killing anyone and completing your mission. Going kill crazy means that leaves evidence for enemies to go looking for you, while hiding bodies gives you bonus points. Combat alone can't kill enemies in this game either, and even then, most of the time you're gonna get gunned down. It's a last resort. You have a multitude of ways to escape these situations. Oh my god, it's the perfect ninja simulation! Okay, real talk. I get the fact that these ninjas in games are there for entertainment purposes. I'm not so dense to have misunderstood that. But I think it's really important all the same to remember the history as well as the fantasy. If we didn't, could you imagine what sort of misconceptions we'd have? Lincoln would go down in history as a vampire hunter instead of an abolitionist president. Port Royal would be seen as a prim and proper British coastal city instead of a festering hole for pirates. So many truths would be turned around. I'm just saying, it's equally important to remember the fact as well as the fiction. But that's all I've got for this episode, guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. But until then, this is Gaijin Goomba, signing out. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and a big thanks to Ninja Brian for being on the show and not actually killing Ronnie.
You'll be hearing from my lawyer.
Click here to check him out at Ninja Sex Party. And a big thank you to DJ Cutman for supplying those sweet Ninja Gaiden tunes. You can click here to check out more of my other culture and gaming videos, but if you're looking for more game exchange, game theory, crossover, or digressing and side questing, click here for the Game Theorists channel, bringing fact to the world of gaming one childhood at a time.